There you are. Okay, folks. It's that time of the week again. TrampCast. TrampCast number 17. And what a week it's been. Quick swig of coffee. Dry mouth. And now wet moustache and beard. Okay. It's been quite a week. But we shall begin, as we do nowadays, with some random facts about the number 17, the episode number. Just to fill time while we wait for people to arrive. Hello, people. Feel free to chat away. Say hello, especially if you're new here. Wow, that was good. It went from 1 to 3, back down to 1. They left as soon as they saw me. I have that effect on people. Okay. Random fact about the number 17. This is interesting. In one country it's unlucky, in another country it's lucky, and in another country 17 is associated with youth. Let's run through those. In Italy, hello Karen. In Italy, the number 17 is considered unlucky because the Roman numeral XVII 17 is an anagram of, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, I'll go with Vici or Vicky, which means the end of your life, you've lived your days, which is taken to mean death, basically. And so they avoid the number 17. A little like some countries don't put a 13th floor in buildings. America, I'm looking at you. Apparently Italy are the same with the number 17. They avoid weddings and things on the 17th of the month. Things like that. On the contrary, in Norway, 17 is considered lucky. And I didn't really get to the bottom of why, I just know that it is. So there you go. And in Japan, the number 17 is associated with youth, because apparently the word for 17 is very similar to a word for youthful. It's more or less the same spelling, I think, with just some kind of broken semi-pause in the pronunciation. From what I could gather, no expert. What else we got? Apparently 17 muscles in the human tongue. Who knew? Not me. We're not got anybody arriving. Or have we got lurkers that aren't showing? YouTube doesn't always report this properly, but I made a big deal of announcing it days in advance. Here we go, 3. Hello everyone. Did you just arrive, or were you there and YouTube wasn't telling me? I don't know. I was getting a bit worried. I was just saying that I made a big deal of hello Ismo, my friend. I made a big deal of promoting this far and wide in the days running up to this. Surprised that we're so quiet out there, but I'll keep going. So, 17 muscles in the human tongue. In Rome, back in the day, the number 17 was associated with Saturn, who is the god of death, or the god associated with death. So again, Italy, or Rome as it was back then, 17 was unlucky. Cold again. Yeah, I think it's always cold where you are, Ismo, isn't it? Minus 27 C. That's ridiculous, my friend. Ridiculous. Okay. The age of 17 in the UK, most of America, most of the United States, I should say, to correct myself, and Canada, 17 is the legal age at which you can donate blood without parental consent. I didn't even know that was a thing. Didn't know that there was an age limit on that one. You live and you learn. You live and you learn, folks. You live and you learn. Also, if people are asked to pick a number between 1 and 20, 17 will be the most popular number chosen if they're kind of choosing at random, if they, or at least if they think they're choosing at random. Don't know why that would be. I would have thought things like 3 and 7 would have won, but apparently, if people are told pick a number at random now, between 1 and 20, they pick 17. And that's a study that's been replicated many times. Who knew? Okay, I think finally, of these random, ridiculous facts that are just wasting time while we wait for people to arrive. In chemistry, 17 is the number on the periodic table, the atomic weight, I guess, of chlorine. So now you know. I think chlorine might have been causing me problems this week. We'll get to that shortly. We will get to that shortly. Okay, folks, everybody okay? How many of you are newbies? How many have discovered me due to a certain bacon video? Have we got any of the new guys in who've only discovered me because of the bacon? This moustache is in the way. Nobody who wants to chat and tell me that they're a newbie. I'm going to assume you're all old hands then. But none of you are talking. Pop open the chat window and say hello. Tell me where you're from. And like Ismo, tell me how cold it is where you are. Or how warm it is. It's been particularly warm here today in Spain. And the next week's going to be quite warm overnight, every night. So, there's that. No. Tina, no. Okay, she's just finishing her food and decided to bark at people walking past. Tina girl, come here. Come here. Tina, come here for treats. Where did I put them? Oh, we're back with me. Sorry, holding the camera close to my face while turning the camera back here. There we go. Can I hold on to you, darling? Come here. Come here. Oh, let go. Let go. Now that you've finished eating. I got her. I got her. Okay. Nobody's talking. Nobody's talking. I'll have to keep talking away then, eh? People think I like the sound of my own voice. Turns out I do. I didn't know that. Okay, folks. The next section that we do, 4 degrees. Wow. I think it's been over 20 here today. 22, I think I saw. And tonight's not going to fall below 14. Most of this week's going to stay above 14. Whereas we've been down around 5, 6, 7 some days. Or some nights, I should say. So that's going to be good. Nice and warm. Nice and warm. The rodent that's currently lodged in my bedroom somewhere will enjoy the warmth, I'm sure. Little bugger. I watched him yesterday trying to climb up one of my bags, and he got up and fell down, and he tried again. He was a bit the Robert the Bruce spider, a bit incy wincy, trying again. Yeah. Okay, the next section that we cover now is the getting to know you, random questions. Well, they're not that random because I wrote them down. I've looked through the list and copied them down, but you get the idea. Feel free to join in with answers yourselves, folks. Question number 1. Have you ever skinny dipped? Swimming naked in the sea? Anyone? I came close one time. On Morecambe seafront. Outside a nightclub. About 3 in the morning. After we'd come out of the nightclub. A bunch of us climbed on top of a bush shelter. Boys and girls, and decided that we were all going to go for a swim. So we all stripped right down. You know, we didn't go all the way down, but I was going to say a midnight dip. It was later than midnight, and it was the middle of bloody winter. So yeah, Morecambe Bay is not very warm in winter. Good job we didn't strip off totally. The shrinkage would have been apparent. Anybody else out there want to admit that they've skinny dipped? Silence. You are not a very chatty bunch, are you? Actually, I was surprised last week when the stats came up at the end and it said there'd been a lot of chats and I'd not seen them. So I don't know if it just hides them from me. I must make a point of going back through watching myself with a chat once it's been processed the next morning. I'm a low priority to YouTube. I'm not high on the list of priorities, so they take their time. Okay, no one's answering, so we'll go with the next question. Which was your most difficult year in school? Yeah, I didn't have any. Not academically. Nothing was difficult. Until I got to sixth form. I left in sixth form. I left after the first year. The main difficulty there was I'd gone on a whim. I'd gone at the last minute, no preparation, didn't have any of the textbooks, and couldn't study like at all. And the maths, I did maths and physics at A level, or tried to. But the maths teacher wasn't. She was new out of college herself, and she wasn't sure of a subject. So she'd get halfway through and we'd all be sat there confused, and then we'd accept what she was saying, and then she'd go, oh, no, sorry, oh, I've got the graph back to front or upside down or whatever. And when you're trying to do integration and differentiation, those graphs matter. So I guess that was a difficult one. And the fact that I started skipping, which is weird because you're there voluntarily by the time you're in sixth form. But then I started skipping school and hang around slot machine arcades, because seaside town, lots of slot machine arcades. Lots and lots of slot machine arcades back in the day. Not so much anymore. What about you guys? Difficulties at school, difficult years? Nobody's going to answer. Leave me hanging. All right, we'll just do one more of these random questions, and we'll get on with the main meat of the day. Toughest conversation you ever had? Oh wow. Yeah, I thought about this one when I saw the question, when I wrote it down in my pad here. The first time I had to fire somebody. When I started my business, well, when I expanded my business, I was a sole trader for a while, just me. And my missus helping with books and things. And then we expanded and became a limited company and hired 3 or 4 people. I struggle to remember the details of the order that people came on board, but there was 3 or 4 came on quickly, all at once, I think even before we got the office. So for a month or so, the people we were going to lease the office from were taking their time. So after we became a limited company and took these people on, they were working from my front room for a while. But then we got the office and we got set up, and one of the guys, I'm not going to name any names or anything, but one of the guys had his difficulties, and I was taking a chance on him. He knew I was giving him a chance, and he swore that he was going to, like, he was coming in without all of the knowledge. He was good with computers and had been a database manager in a different company with some programming, and I wanted him mainly on programming. And he was going to really focus. He was going to go home at night and learn it all in his spare time, and he was going to really try. And we got 2 and 3 months in, and it quickly became apparent that he'd not made any progress. And then he was coming into work and telling us how he'd spent all weekend away building dry stone walls with some kind of volunteer group, and he'd been felling trees and dry stone walling. And I was like, yeah, but what about this programming? What about all the stuff we're doing here? What about the things we need to do for the job? And so we got to a point, and there was a couple of them, and I gave them a list of key skills that they had to have in 30 days' time, and told them it was down to them to make it happen. If they needed me to show them anything, if they were behind or unsure, ask me, and I would run through anything they needed. Yeah, sure, yeah. And we got halfway through this 30-day period, and I said to them both, like, hey, where are we? Where are you with that list of 20 items that you need to be able to do, those skills? Oh, yeah. Can you schedule some time to show us it all? It's like, no, I fucking can't. I'll help you with little bits. What are you doing? You're supposed to be learning this. Well, we'd covered it all at work multiple times. Anyway, the guy didn't make any progress, and we got to the weekend before the 30th day. And I said, where are you? Tell me which of these you can do and which you can't. He couldn't do any of them. So I stewed and festered over the weekend. Oh, and he told me how he was going away again on one of these tree felling, stone walling weekends. I'm like, it's not cutting. That's not going to work for me. So I festered and stewed all weekend, discussed it with my wife, and we made the decision we were gonna sack him on the Monday. We asked the people running the building that, could we have a conference room at the end of the hall, and we got ready. We got in early. We got ready, and we were going to get him on as he came in. We were going to take him to one side before he saw anybody else and tell him that it was over. Bugger didn't turn up. Didn't come in all day. Not only did he not come in, he didn't ring in. So the next morning he rang, and I had to tell him over the phone that was it. It was done, because he didn't give me the opportunity to do it face to face, like would have been reasonable. Difficult. I mean, that entire weekend, my stomach was upside down. I was in bits. That was the first time I fired anyone. Not enjoyable. So anyway, I don't know whether I should tell you the rest of the story, really. A couple of years later, we heard on the grapevine that he wasn't around anymore. Yeah, he died. And it kind of tortures me that I might be part of that. I might be part of the reason. But like others say, I tried to give him a go. I tried my best. I gave him the opportunity. He didn't rise to it. He didn't seek help to rise to it. Anyway, that all took a turn, didn't it? What about you guys? Anybody want to discuss a difficult conversation? I'm just going tired. I've got on here now, I've got 3 layers on that have all got long sleeves, and I think my arms aren't used to it. I've been in t-shirts all summer, night and day. And now I've got clothes on and my arms are getting tired. Ridiculous. Okay, folks, we're nearly 20 minutes into the thing. Let's get on with the task in hand. So as I was saying, it's been quite a week, and especially the back end of the week. But let's discuss the themes of the week, the overarching issues. Tina, stop. Stop it. Stop. Untangle and stop. Sit down and shush. Quiet. Be a good girl. Be a good girl. Dog. Show you her again. There she is, look. Tina, go. There you go. Say hello to the peoples. Come on, calm down. Alright. There's someone walking past on the bottom. Okay, overarching themes for the week. Well, we started with rain a couple of days. That went well. How quickly the tent with the hole in the roof, how quickly it all went total tits up. And even now, days later, some stuff dropped off the bed a couple of nights ago, and I didn't realise. I had to fish it out last night. And I put my arm down, including this electric light, battery operated light, that I've got ready. If you remember last week, we ended up in the dark, didn't we? So I've got the light out already. I had to fish that out from under the bed, and it was in a puddle of water, in a pool of water under the bed. Yeah, rain. Another couple of items here that all go together, I guess. Cooking. I did a couple of cookery videos. Some of you might have noticed, especially if any of you out there are the new guys who are lurking. So firstly, yeah, so cooking, bread, yeast and pizza. Those are all one item really, aren't they? I did another I didn't do a cookery video, but I did some more bread making later in the week. And this time I just made flatbread, actually flour tortillas. Just because I knew my yeast wasn't going to work. Although I've got an update on that. Yeast was one of the themes there. We've got an update on that later. And the other cookery video I did, that was the biggie, bacon. That was the video that did nothing for a day and a half. Until I tweaked the title a little bit and some of the keywords. And then it really took off by my standards. For a small channel like this. That is now my third most watched video ever. And still going strong. It's probably going to become my second most watched video overnight. I think it's about to pass 500 views while we're on now. I can't check. And the stats that you see on YouTube's page are behind. I get more up-to-date stats in an app I've got here. But yeah, that went well. We'll come to that. Another theme I've got here is money. I was trying to eke out, the last few weeks I've been trying to eke out the last of my ready cash. Notes and coins in my pocket. Struggled. Went a few days with nothing, or almost nothing. We ran out of poo bags for the dog, and I had to go to the shop. And I've got Karen's mum, Christine, gave me a box with shrapnel, mainly 5-cent pieces, in rolls of 50, so €2.50. But I don't like taking them to the supermarket because they generally make a show of me and hold up the queue and take them out and count them, and they're really inefficient at counting them. If I was going to count them, I'd put a pile of 10 down, count out 10, put that down, and then make piles the same height, and then you know that each pile is 50 cents. Sorry, I got a hair in my mouth. That's what I would do. They do, and the girl typically stands there and counts them one at a time and miscounts and gets it wrong. But I had to go. I had to get these poo bags, and I paid over. Mercadona prices are over the top. The Chino Bazaar here, the Chinese shop, would have been a better value, but they probably just wouldn't have accepted the roll of coins. So I had to do what I had to do. So I went there and bought the poo bags and spent an extra €1 and a bit to use up that money. But yeah, making the money last has been an issue. And this is the thing, I've got money in PayPal. It's not that there isn't money there. The same as I've got money in the bank, but they won't let me have it, which is why I'm living in a bloody field. I got money in PayPal, but nowhere to use it. Or very few places. My main use for it is paying the phone bill, paying the data, so that I can do these videos. But then there's a few people that when they're over here, I can send them the PayPal money, and they'll bring me notes, currency, which is jolly nice of them and helps muchly. But yeah, money was an issue all week. And then really, YouTube. Okay, smoke. YouTube. making the videos, putting them out there, and then struggling to get any traction. After the Christmas break, because I didn't put any videos out for 10 days or so, YouTube kind of punish you. You put a video out and they don't want to promote it. It's kind of you lost traction. If you're not putting something out every day or two, you quickly deflate. Your channel just loses any kind of, the notifications don't go out and people just don't get offered your video in the first place. So you suffer for a while. And I was suffering. And then I did the bacon video and suffered more for a day and a half. Until that took off, bigly. So yeah, and then obviously rodents are an ever-present issue. There's hardly a week goes by where I'm not talking about mice. I haven't seen any of the big ones. I thought I heard one a few nights ago. Might have, not sure. But I haven't seen any. So those are the themes. Those are the overarching themes. That and one last one, which is, I said last week that I never really got into the Christmas spirit this year. This Christmas just gone. And I made an effort at the beginning of the week to kind of, even though it was too late, you know, the 6th had already been and gone. It was all over. But I made a point of going through and watching some of the traditional Christmas films, like Lethal Weapon. I haven't got around to Die Hard yet, but I will. Traditional Christmas films, Lethal Weapon and Die Hard. Also, I did actually watch Groundhog Day, which technically is early February, but I've always viewed it as a Christmas film because of the winteriness. That's just me. But I did carry on watching a few of those Hallmark, you know, those lovey, romancy kind of Christmas films. Just adjust that a little bit. So yeah, I've been trying to make it a bit more Christmassy. I'm only a little bit late, guys. Come on, I'm only a little bit late. Okay, those are the themes that ran through the week. Let's get on with the actual week itself. So after we finished the live stream last week, I was in the dark. It had been dark for, what, a good half an hour, maybe an hour by the time we finished. And again, like the week before, it was only when I stood up, I realised how fucking cold I was. Very cold. As soon as that sun goes down, you feel the temperature drop. Hopefully not so much tonight, because it's not going to get as cold. But, I don't know. I guess as well, here's something. I haven't been eating properly this week, most days, because money. But there were days where I was supposed to cook. I've got the things and I could have made a good big stew, and I just lacked the motivation to go and do it. Like the day I made the pizza, I almost didn't make the pizza. I only did it in the end. I was toying with the idea. I only did it in the end because I came out to adjust the solar panels, move them around, follow the sun around. And I thought what a nice day it was, and that I should have a few hours outside rather than just being in the tent. Inside the tent, because the outer lining is blue, the light inside's quite blue. And so you're in the dark, the light's blue, and it's a little bit depressing. So when I came out and it was a nice afternoon and sunny and yeah. So I made that big pizza, which was too big. I couldn't finish it, if you remember. If you've seen the video. I don't know if any of you have watched any of my videos this week. I've only done 2 or 3. But they've been bangers. I really enjoyed them. I even enjoyed watching them back. Hey. What can you say? So yeah, Sunday, really cold after I stood up when we finished the live stream. But I felt it went really well. I really enjoyed last week's live stream. I think partly because there were so many people in there. There were a lot of people. I know most people only watch kind of half an hour and then they jib out. Some arrive, don't like it and leave. That's all right. But very few actually watch from when they arrive until they end. But that's okay. But I really enjoyed last week's. I thought it went really well, and the numbers of people watching, and I think the fact that it went on, I think because it went for 2 hours, it meant that like my viewing figures with YouTube, the number of minutes watched when you multiply the people by the minutes, was quite high, which made me feel good. I'm a kind of a numbers person, you know. It's like I'm watching a league table or watching a score climb. Yeah. I might have some kind of ADHD. I don't know. I've never been diagnosed, but I might be on a spectrum somewhere. Possibly. So yeah, and I also wondered whether it was the later time that helped, because if you remember a few weeks ago, I adjusted and we started at 4 o'clock Spanish time, 3 o'clock UK. But somehow, I think I was running late last week, so I moved it. I moved it back to 5 o'clock Spanish, 4 UK. And I think that might have helped. Even though I ended up in the dark, but it wasn't too bad. I put the light on, it didn't look catastrophically bad. This isn't a face for shining a spotlight on though, and you know, being the only thing visible against a dark background at night. I got a face for radio. So yeah, that was Sunday after the live stream. Took Tina for a walk and we did what we did, and climbed into bed pretty much straight away. So if you remember last weekend and the end of last week had been very windy, and I'd been waiting for the wind to die. The weather forecast had said the wind was going to die down on Saturday afternoon, and it didn't. It carried on all day Sunday. At some points in last week's TrampCast 16, you can hear the sound getting distorted by the wind hitting the microphone. Wasn't too bad, but it was worse than I like, because I'm sat here with my hand cupped around that end of the phone to shield it from the wind, and to capture some of the extra sound from, you know, and bounce it into to increase the volume, because it doesn't do great at this range, this microphone. But that wind carried on all through Monday, and I was waiting to try and mess about with this battery box and maybe change solar controller. But the tent was hitting me, blowing around in the wind. So we go into Monday, and it's still very windy, and it was windy all day until about 4 o'clock. So yeah, it was a sunny day to start with, but cold. Very good day for solar and for charging up that new battery, and letting me get a bit of confidence that these panels and that charge controller, the old controller, like I say, I haven't put the new one on, that it does work, and he's working as expected. So it does look like my previous problems were down to a degraded battery. Whether it had always been bad, whether I did something wrong when I first got it, whether I just ran it too hard and too low. It is meant to be a deep discharge, a deep cycle battery, so I don't know. I might have messed up. But it's great of these guys to bring me out another battery and swap it out. But I don't know whether I'm going to put the new charge controller on or not. I might, because those 2 USB ports on it are higher capacity, higher charge. So that might be useful. That might be worth taking the risk of messing. There's always that thing, isn't there, you know, once you start messing with electrics. What if you get it wrong and things don't work anymore? Yeah. So the wind blowing all day put me off even trying, and then I gained confidence in the system that I had, and so I've put off actually making that swap at all so far. But I may still do that this week. I may. The other thing that I was tempted to do, or wanting to do Monday, was change the tarpaulin on the top of the tent there. You see the black, the tarp that's over if you look right on the crown of the roof, you can see that it's frayed and broken. So I've got a broken tarp over a wide open roof, and I was waiting to, considering swapping out because I've got a new tarp that's bigger. So it's new, it's watertight, and it's bigger. I can't remember, I think 5 meters by 4 rather than 3 by 2 that this is. So it'd cover a lot more of the area of the tent. It mean that the tent will only get wet down low down on the sides rather than up at the top. But that wind stopped me. That meant that I didn't go ahead with that. But a Russian friend a Russian guy who walked by today, who helped me put this tarp up in the first place, has offered to come and help me when I do put this up. So we'll see. I checked the weather forecast earlier for this coming week and there was no rain scheduled. But I did a last minute check before coming out now, and apparently Friday, rain. Weather forecasts, guys, weather forecasts. That's one of my recurring themes on this channel. And the videos that I do about the weather forecasts never get any traction. Nobody's interested in me ranting about how bad Google's weather app is. When you're sat there in pouring rain and it's been raining for 2 hours and then they tell you, yeah, there's a slight chance of showers. Really? Fuck. Okay, back to Monday. Where were we? Oh, here's one. I took Tina for a morning walk, and the night before I'd had some food in bed, and I'd got a bar of chocolate that this Russian guy gave me last Sunday. Must have been after the stream. No, just before the stream. And I almost opened it on the Sunday night, but I didn't. I kept it to one side, and somehow I lost it. And my head torch, my head torch that Karen so kindly got me for my birthday present. And these two things were missing half the day. And I was kind of convinced that someone must have come in the tent and taken them. It's the only explanation. I'd checked, I'd put my hand down the side of the bed, I'd under pillows and around. I got no idea. I was lifting up bags and moving crap around. No, this thing was missing for 2 hours. More. I spent 2 hours looking for it. It was missing for half the day. And in the end, I decided to strip the bed off entirely because it just has to be there. No one's going to have walked in here and stolen a chocolate bar and one little head torch. Not when there are phones and tablets and solar panels and battery packs and things laying around. No one's going to take one head torch and a chocolate bar. It's ridiculous. So I stripped the bed down. And the last cover that I picked up and kind of shake out they fall. Somehow this thing it's worked its way in under one of the covers and worked its way down, and then covers had got folded and Tina's laid on them, and I'm feeling all over the bloody bed. I don't know. That seems a weird thing to recall about a week, but you'd be amazed how things can get lost. As soon as you put things down in a non-standard place. This is why in the morning, so I wear this head torch all night, so that if there's a noise I can just click and we've got light. And once it gets light in the morning, 8 o'clock, 8:30, whatever time that is now, I take it off and I put it in the same place. I put it in front of the clock, so that when it gets dark, I know where to go. Everything in a place, everything has a place and everything's in its place. You wouldn't believe it to look at the shithole around me, but I pretty much know where everything is. As soon as you put something down in a non-standard place, it's gone. Like that time I lost a pair of scissors for, was it 3 weeks? Fuck. Yeah, that. Onwards. Okay, yeah, so I said I turned the place upside down looking for those. So after that, I was quite happy with myself that I'd found this chocolate bar and I'd got my... I've become so used to this head torch. I was starting to wonder what the hell I was going to do without it. I mean, I've got this. I showed it already, yeah? I've got this lamp and the rechargeable batteries. Tina girl. So I got this. And it's a fan as well. It can be a light and fan at the same time, and then off. So I got this and the rechargeable batteries. But I was, you know, it's difficult to reach around and find that on the bed in the middle of the night, and then start trying to find mice or looking at whatever the problem is. So this just clicking on my head. I like it. I've grown used to it. I didn't know what I was going to do without it. So it was a relief to find it. So in the middle of the afternoon, when this is all found and all done and I'm relaxed and relieved, I lay down on the bed with my doggy here and I put my Christmas films on. The Muppet Christmas Carol and similar. Even though Christmas was over, this was me. This was the beginning of my week. Trying to extend Christmas, trying to keep Christmas going, because it just didn't feel like it happened for me this year. For one reason or another. That I can't really fully explain. Can't explain. Last Christmas... George Michael. No, last Christmas I really felt the Christmas spirit, even though I had nothing. No electronic. Everything was dead from the 2 floods that had happened in the previous months. I had nothing. Except 2 big bags full of food. Snacky, easy to grab, just eat away at your heart's content kind of food. No cooking, no nothing, just eat. I enjoyed that. Even though I didn't have no shelter, I was just living in a field. A bed in a field. Don't know. Strange how you feel about things, how emotions work. So yeah, 4 o'clock Monday afternoon, the wind finally dropped, and I spent an hour patching the tent with the really good stuff, the really good tape that Karen had brought me, I think from England. The really good duct tape. Didn't quite go as well as I'd hoped. We'll come to that when we do Tuesday, when we get to tomorrow. Yeah, so I spent an hour and a half, the late afternoon as the sun was going down kind of thing, just fixing the obvious rips. Had a go at my door. If you remember, my door's got a big dog-sized hole in the bottom where she pushed away right the way through the actual door of the tent. That seems beyond repair. That would require some kind of skill set that I don't have. But I patched up most other things to try and stop them running and try and stop things getting worse. Didn't work. So where are we? Oh yeah, Monday was where I should have cooked a stew. All the ingredients are there. I got bell peppers, onions, potatoes, lots and lots of tomato frito. You know, tins of tomatoes and cartons of tomatoes. I've got bovril and I've got stock cubes. Don't think I've got any beef stock cubes left. I think they've all gone. But I've got bovril that I could throw in, and I've got vegetable stock cubes. I could have made a fantastic. We got this big pan here, this big cauldron that I turn upside down and put the camera on while we're doing these shows to try and at least have some height, because otherwise you would be way down looking at my nose. So everything's here, but I just couldn't stir myself. I couldn't be bothered. I was in a bit of a malaise. I was actually surprised I spent as long as I did patching the tent. I think it was only because we'd had like 4 days of strong winds. So I could see actual damage. I could see when the light's shining through the side of the tent, you got all these slits where it's all torn and ripped. And I could see them getting worse in places that I'd repaired entirely in the past. Sorry, Tina's just pulling me, nudging me. Hey babe, hey babe. But I could see these rips getting bigger over the days, so I went and forced myself to do that, but I couldn't really stir myself to do other things, which leaves me feeling cold all night. Then, if I haven't eaten properly, you know, a full belly makes you feel warm all night. So laziness is to my own detriment, really, which is why I can't really explain why I do it. It has to be a kind of a, like I said, a malaise or a depression. Tina girl. Hey babe, Tina girl. Stop. But yeah, I'm my own worst enemy at times, and I can't explain it. It just is as it is. It is what it is. So yeah, I should have cooked a stew, too lazy, and went hungry and cold, yeah. The weather app was predicting rain for Tuesday afternoon, well, Tuesday evening, 8 o'clock. Prior to that, the weather forecast had been for rain on the Wednesday, all day Wednesday, but it moved forwards. And that meant that, like, any possibility of my getting the tarpaulin, the new tarpaulin up on my own, it might be more than a one-day job if I was doing it on my own. So I didn't want to take off the one that I've got with rain coming in that next night. So Tuesday I skipped it. I didn't do the tarpaulin thing, as I've said. I hate. So we had a little bit of light rain overnight, Monday night, that had not been in the forecast. Light rain for quite a few hours, 2 or 3 hours, I think it was. Yeah. Weather app again, folks. The weather app again. But fortunately, like I say, it was lightweight. It didn't cause any real problems. The tarp that's there, because the hole in the top and the little rip that's coming from it, the rip's getting bigger. But because they're right on the crown of the tent, it's only water that lands directly there that's going to come through. It's not like if the rip had been down the side, everything that had run off from the top and from all the way down would become, you'd have multiples of the amount of rain coming through. Right on the top, generally not a big issue unless it's raining really heavily, which we will get to. You know, I didn't end up with puddles of water under the bed from light rain. That was the heavy stuff. So yeah, Tuesday morning. So I got out and after walking the dog, I inspected the previous day's tent repairs. And I have to say I was really disappointed. Most of them were hanging off quite badly. So as usual, just reapply them, just push them back down. They're still there, they're still sticky, but I think what's happening is that the sticky things adhere to clean surfaces best, don't they? You usually have to clean a surface before you start gluing and taping and what have you. But this is a tent that's been up now for, gosh, let's say June the 1st. I think it was actually May the 30th or something, but 7 months, is that? I think that's 7 months it's been up and in continuous use. And when it rains here and deposits the red dust, the Saharan dust, everything's dirty all the time. And you can't really clean the surface before sticking the tape on. So all I can do is press it down, compact it, reapply pressure, which I've had to do for a couple of days after putting the tape on. And most of it's stuck okay now, ish. Some of it isn't. And some of the bits that I put on, I maybe missed the mark a little bit, and the tear is running a little bit still from all the wind that we got in the week. So yeah, so that was the start of Tuesday, checking the previous day's tent repairs. And that's when I had a thought about baking bread. And so I got my ingredients out. I got my flour. I got my flour out, and I got some water, and I got my sachet. sachet of yeast. Sachet. My little bag of yeast. And I had a go. And here's what I'm not sure of. Obviously the yeast just died a death. Was the yeast already dead? Or is Spanish water chlorinated? I know it is now. But I don't know. I don't know if that's what the problem was. Because the water had sat for a little while in the jug. So it had a chance to off-gas any chlorine. But I don't know how long that takes. Maybe it takes longer than I gave it. So what I'm not sure of is if I killed the yeast with the water, or if it was already just dead out of the packet. Now we'll have an update on that later, because if you saw the video, I only used a fraction of the yeast, or tried using a fraction of the yeast, and I put the rest aside and put in water in the end, and it's been sat here for however long that is now. Tuesday until now. Is that 6 days? 5 days? Whatever that is. 5, I think. And I think it's come back to life. It lives! I did a video this morning, but I haven't released it yet. I'll maybe release that tomorrow or Tuesday, depending on how these other things go. They say that when you've got a video that's running wild, when you've got one that's really going for it, you shouldn't be releasing, when you're a new channel especially, when you're a young channel like I still am, comparatively, you shouldn't release another video. But I already did. Hey. But I'll maybe hang fire and see how the other videos are going before I decide when to release the yeast video. It's only a short one. It's only a short one. But it does live. I've resurrected it. It's Frankenstein's yeast. Yeah, the video. The pizza video started really well. It did really well on YouTube for the first hour or two, but then it didn't. I think. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Let me just make sure I've got my days right here, because I'm trying to go half off memory and half off my notes, which are really small and difficult to read. Hence the glasses. Did any of you watch the pizza video yet? It went bad at the end. You wouldn't know because I did the thumbnail from before it went bad. It looked good when I cooked it, and it was. I mean, it was nice. It was good pizza. The bread just didn't hold together properly. So when I tried to pick it out, because I baked it in a frying pan, if you can imagine such a thing, baking in a frying pan. But then I've got to get it out afterwards, and it every time I put anything under to try and lever it up, use a bit of leverage to pick it up, it just broke. I think what I did wrong, well, a couple of things. The yeast, obviously. Trying to knead it one-handed while I'm doing it on camera. And I think I'd halved, the recipe I was using was for 2 12-inch pizzas. So I halved it to do 1. But my frying pan isn't that big. So I think I had too much bread, too thick, too many ingredients in too small a space. Was part of the issue. So that's something I'll do different next time. I know now, I can gauge it a little bit better if I do a follow-up. And I may this week, spoilers, I do have a little bit of cash now. But we'll get to that. Only a little bit. Enough to go to the shop and buy some essentials. Oh, I'm looking at Monday again. Tuesday, we're down here. Oh yeah, when I finished eating the pizza, I had some left over because it was a little bit heavier, still a little bit doughy on the thicker pieces around the edge. I had some left, so when I was full, I still had some left, so I put it in Tupperware and had that as a kind of a late night feast inside the tent during the rain. The rain that wasn't going to happen that night. Tuesday night was predicted for no rain. In the end, they'd said Wednesday, and then it came forward, and then it disappeared, and then it came back with a vengeance. Yeah, weather forecasts. Weather forecast. So there we were in the tent when the rain started. I think it was about 11 it started. And within an hour and a half, somewhere between 12 and past, it literally starts dripping down onto my bed. It's big wet patches on the ceiling or on the roof, however you want to look at it. And there's water streaming down the walls, which I don't mind. I can cope with that. The walls between the bed and the walls where they touch, I put a tarpaulin so that any water on the inside of the wall hits the tarp and is guided to the floor, hence the puddles now. But I don't get a wet bed that way. My mattress doesn't soak it up like a sponge, like when I was on the floor, if you ever watch those videos. There was one time just after I got the tent, or was it after the roof split? And because my bed was on the floor, both mattresses, 2 mattresses, one on top of the other, but they were both just dripping wet. Had to drag them out to dry them off the next day. Fortunately, whenever we do get bad weather, 9 times out of 10, it's a nice sunny day the next day. So we do get some good drying time, usually. But this one time I had to bring both mattresses out, and I damaged the tent, kind of falling over while moving a mattress. Difficult to navigate. A mattress folded in half that's trying to spring apart, and you're trying to walk through narrow doorways and hunch over into the bedroom, and there's a dog underfoot and everything. Difficult work. And it kind of sprung open, and I felt myself falling, and I grabbed instinctively, and I'm grabbing a tent. My hands went through the side of the tent next to the door. The thing's perishing, and was even then. It's great, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't give it up for the world. I mean, subscriber number 200, if you remember, brought me a new tent, smaller and bright orange. Which, was it orange or green? I think the container is green, but the tent is bright orange, vivid, neon. So I'm holding that obviously in reserve, because I've got bigger space. I've got about 4 times more room inside here than I would have inside. Appreciate the tent, and it's great to have the fallback. But I am holding it as a fallback. So yeah, very wet, very quickly, and not just running down the walls, it started to drip onto the bed. And I've got an upturned picnic blanket on there with the, I'm going to say rubber side, it's plastic. And it's perished, and it's got rips and holes. But it's better than nothing. I do have another tarp inside a bag still that I could get out. I've got the new big tarp so in an emergency I have things I can grab, but just this blanket's already on the bed all the time anyway for just this kind of thing. And it starts to drip down and onto the bed, and it starts to pool in little places on the picnic blanket, and I'm throwing it onto the floor kind of thing. But then it carries on raining just as hard, but somehow the water stops dripping and just runs to the sides. Yeah, the water, I don't understand the physics of why it got wet in that spot and just ran off rather than dripping through. Tina, shush, shush, shush. Hola. Hey, sit down. Siéntate. Va, cámate, amiga mía. Tranquilo. Tranquilo. Doggy. So yeah, I don't understand the physics of why it did what it did and why it stopped dripping through all of a sudden, but I'm glad it did. I do now. I mean, I need to find a way of getting down there now with a cloth and soaking up that wet and then squeezing it into a bowl. I'll probably try that tomorrow. I didn't realise that it pooled and that it was... I thought it would have evaporated by now, whatever was there. It's only last night when things had fallen off the bed and I reached down and my hand was in a pool of water. It'll be localised. It'll just be small pools where there are ripples in the plastic floor of the tent. It won't be as bad as I'm making it sound, hopefully. I don't know, because I can't see. There's a big bed in the way. Got a double bed in there, guys. And it fills the left-hand half of the bedroom, tight up against two of the outer walls. And the planks, even if I lift the two mattresses, lifting the two mattresses is difficult. And even when I do, there's 4 planks there and piles of bricks in the way and things. You go watch the video where I built the bed. I think now, you know, if I get back to the UK and I get an unfurnished flat, I will, rather than buying a bed, I will probably go and get some bricks and planks and make a makeshift bed again. Save a few £100. I recommend it. So yeah, Tuesday night, rain. 5 hours, non-stop. Yeah, that was nice. So that takes us through into Wednesday, doesn't it? Overnight. Cloudy start to the day. The forecast was for sunny, for a sunny day. I don't think that happened. Let me see if I've got the right day. Oh, and they said a low chance of rain that night again. Yeah. So this is when overnight, when I edited the videos that I had, and this is when the pizza video got released, and I tried to aim its release time. I released it, I think something like 4 o'clock Spanish time, and 4 o'clock in the morning. Didn't work as an idea, but the idea was to try and catch the American market. You know, any Americans or Canadians that were, you know, it would have been 9, 10 o'clock, something like that for them, depending on which part of the country they were in, which part of the continent they're in. So I thought my video could get off to a start. You know, if all the Americans have watched it before the Brits and Spaniards, or you know, or the Brits in Spain, before they get up, rather than starting my video at 10 o'clock in the morning, I could already have a sizable audience by then. Was what I thought. That didn't work. I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again. So yeah, I sat up in bed, finalising videos and tweaking them and making the thumbnails and getting them ready for release. So once the sun got up, took Tina for her dog for her walkies, and we went for an extended walk. This is one of those embarrassing confessions, folks. This one probably loses me subscribers when I make this admission, and there's a worse one to come later. So no money, or very little, just shrapnel, just coppers. No money. And no bread, because the bread I'd made was the pizza that I'd eaten the day before. So I decided to take Tina on an extended walk, and we visited some of the bins, just walking past. And as I've mentioned in the past, sometimes people will leave a bag of food. If you're from England or Norway or Sweden and you were here for Christmas and now you're going home, you might have things in the cupboard that you can't just keep. So some people bring them to me. I haven't had that so much this Christmas. Had that a little bit more in the run up to Christmas and after Christmas. This year, not so much. Only the once, I think. So So I went around the bins and looked to see what there was, and there was a loaf of bread. There was a sliced loaf, and there was a I don't know what, but there was a loaf open that I broke off and fed to Tina as we walked around. But I kept the sliced loaf and brought that back home. So yeah, that was going back around the bins, doing my rounds, looking for food. Bin food. There go the subscribers. Off your trot. Bin food. It's better, the food that's outside the bin is better than the food inside the bin. Or floor food. I've done that one as well. We'll come to that because that's happened this weekend. Stay tuned, folks, for floor pizza. I am that guy. I am that guy. So yeah, this was Wednesday. The extended walk and finding food, sliced loaf. So that afternoon, I had egg butties. Egg butties, egg sandwiches. For anyone who's not British, butty, it's an English word for a sandwich. Usually, actually, I mean, more correctly, probably a big bread bun. But these things are regional. The words get used differently in different areas. And where I'm from, we use the word butty for any form of sandwich. So I came home, that afternoon we had fried egg sandwiches. I say we, it was me really, but Tina has her food and then she has half of mine as well. You got to remember, that's why she's putting on weight and I'm losing weight. Or I'm struggling not to lose weight. It's a battle to get enough calories inside me. So yeah. So we had those butties in the afternoon, early evening really. And in bed by 5 o'clock on Wednesday. Before the sun had even gone down, we were in bed. Oh, I've got my days wrong with which video was released when. It was Wednesday night into Thursday the pizza video went out. Funny how I misremember things. So all those things I said about the pizza video, that was this night, not the previous. I got it wrong, folks. I got it wrong again. I'm lying. So, where are we? What day are we on? We're on Wednesday, aren't we? Are we? Wednesday. Egg butties, yeah, that was Wednesday. Confused me because we had another night with rain, lots of rain, even though the forecast had said not. Yeah, another 5 hours of rain. So there's like 3 days this last week where we had 4 or 5 hours of rain. And you can argue about whether any of them were actually forecast. One of them had been forecast and then been rescinded and then happened anyway. The other two just weren't in the forecast. This is why I rant about the fucking forecasts. I depend on them. I need to know what to expect. So for example, on one of these days I'd brought the tarpaulins that go down the side of the bed, I'd brought them outside to dry. And in the evening I'd taken them inside, but I'd not put them down the side of the bed. They were just in the tent. Because I didn't need them, it wasn't going to rain. And then it did. So then I had to scramble. I waited like half an hour. I thought, oh, it's only light, or it's not going to be too bad as long as it doesn't go on for too long. But like I said, it ended up going on for 5 hours. So at some point in there, I have to scramble, get that tarpaulin, and then wedge it down the side of the bed, and hope that I'm doing it before the sides of the tent are wet, and before the bed's already wet. And I'm trying to do this on a bed that's got not just the bedclothes and things, not just the covers, but I'm storing things on there. The light and a torch, and my head torch if I've not got it on, and a bunch of batteries for the light, and I've got these things that are to hand because I haven't got, other than just putting things on the floor, I haven't got much. Karen gave me a set of drawers, but they're in this part of the tent. I haven't got much in the way of storage in the bedroom part. Things that you need to hand. It's not like there's a bedside cabinet with drawers that I can just reach in for batteries for the lights if the batteries go. I just want to show you this, guys. Let me just. Can we get it? That's pretty nice. I might use that as a thumbnail for next week's. That's pretty nice. Let's see if we can zoom in and get anything even nicer. Whoa. Okay. I like that. We don't often get a proper sunset. So the sun's setting over there. That's the west, roughly speaking. Normally the nice skies end up over behind me on the east, because it's the haze from the sea that gets the... Tina girl, that's enough. Oi, oi! Sit down. Shush. Shush, I want you to be a good girl. I don't even see anyone. I don't think there's anybody there, darling. Unless it's my blindness. Oh, yeah, there are. There are people coming. See if they look. I'll wave if they look. I won't if they don't. No, they're not going to. Okay, so that's, where's that? Wednesday into Thursday morning, yeah? Okay, so this is the one where I woke up 7 o'clock or so, but Tina, well, I carried on, I woke up but snoozed, just put a video on and just kind of half watched it, half slept. But an hour later, half 8, Tina decides that it's desperately urgent that we go outside. She needs her walkies. And at the minute the sun's coming up somewhere around 8:15 sunrise. So we're out at 8:45, so within half an hour of the sun coming up. So Thursday mornings where I do a video from on the cliffs there, with the sun really low. Not exactly sunrise, but not long after, within half an hour of sunrise. And this sky's getting even more. Wow. I'm quite taken aback. So yeah, off we were. So Thursday morning with a hobo. That's a video that I did. So this is when we then came back to after that we came back to the tent, and I think, did we do another extended walk? I think we probably did go on another walk looking for food again. And this one, no sliced loaf or anything this time, but there was another loaf, there was like half a loaf, just like I said, on the footpath next to the bin. So I picked it up and broke it off, and I was mainly feeding it to Tina because she found it. It's for her. But I did have a few bits later on. Once we got far enough away that no one had seen me pick it up or anything, I did have a few bits. Floor food, people. Floor food. When you got no money, can you see how orange I am with from the clouds, from the sunset? Let's have another look. It is particularly particular. That's over exaggerating it a little bit on screen, I think. Maybe because I zoomed in. Let me come back out. Oh, it didn't take my click. There we go. So yeah, guys, floor food. I got better to come yet. I said already, didn't I? Floor pizza. Floor pizza is the best pizza. When you've got no money, it's the only pizza. I wonder how many subscribers I'm going to lose. Whenever I have like this, where I've gained a lot in a short space of time, I've gained about 20 almost, I think, in the last 36 hours or so. This is a channel that gains about 10 a month at the minute. I wonder, when they realise it's not a cookery channel, I wonder how many are going to leave. Cheers to the subscribers. All of you, but especially the new ones. Thank you. Do stick around. So just to explain, well, you'll have seen by now if you are one of the new ones. The channel is just about the life and times of a tramp. Occasional cookery, as and when I've got the ingredients and can think of something novel to cook that I haven't already done a video on. Now, if you're playing along with a drinking game at home, I know some of you do. It's just coffee on this end. But I know some of you like to sit back with a glass of wine or a beer. Cheers. Cheers to all of you. Whether you're a subscriber or not, if you've got this far into the video, if you're staying with me, good on you. Cheers. If I say cheers often enough and take enough of a drink, you'll all end up drunk. Let's have a look. Where was I? Floor pizza, floor food. We were on Thursday, weren't we? We were on Thursday. Oh, this is where I came back and I checked my yeast. I said I'd put some yeast in water, and nothing. I fed it a bit of flour and a bit of sugar on the day, and then a couple of days later I had another look and gave it a stir. It seemed quite bubbly. I put it's Karen. Cheers, Karen. And cheers to your mum for the coins, which came in useful yesterday. Otherwise I would be breaking the law walking around with Tina crapping and me not having bags by now. Yeah. But I came back and I put a spoonful of sugar in my yeast mix, in my yeast culture. And there was bubbles on top, but I think that was from where I stirred it. And then I put the lid on firmly and thought nothing more of it. And in the afternoon, I thought I'd have another look. And the lid, when I took the lid off, the underside of the lid was all frothy and gooey. Not frothy, but it had got like bits of flour and stuff on. Muck's the wrong word. But the yeasty, watery, floury, sugary mix on the underside of the lid. So I think when I put it in and seen nothing, and I've put the lid on tight, I think it's effervesced. I think it's there's a word, and I can't remember it now. And I used it earlier today when I did the, you know, when you put sugar in your yeast and it activates, and suddenly your yeast rushes to the blooms. That's the word. I think it had bloomed when I wasn't looking later after I'd put the lid on, and I'd not noticed. And it was only, I guess, today that I put two and two together, because today I put a spoonful of sugar in and I saw the reaction. I now know that my yeast is alive. It's taken it 4 or 5 days. So it's a good job I didn't hang around while I was trying to cook my pizza on the Tuesday. But now, when I use this, I will use half of this and keep the other half and just top it up with a bit of extra water, a bit of extra sugar and flour. And I'll keep that alive now, so I won't need to use my other sachets of yeast, hopefully. But the thing is, the water and the chlorine, before I do this, I'm going to have to boil the water for a quarter of an hour. I think the instructions I've seen say. Boil the water, because my bottles now are tap water. They're not from the foot pump and what have you. They're proper tap water from a guy, all from Jeff and Mark when they brought me some. So if I boil the water for a good 5 or 10 minutes, plus the time it takes to get up to the boil. That should get rid of the chlorine in the water that's been treated with. And it is chlorine, not the other stuff that's like chlorine. In Spain, they're using actual chlorine in the water. But I should be able to boil that away, and then let it cool down a bit, and then it won't kill my yeast. Because this is what it's quite possible that that yeast was fine and that I killed it by putting tap water on it. Maybe the next time I make a loaf, maybe I just go and buy a bottle of water and, mineral water, because that's not going to have chlorine in. Maybe I do that if I've got money at the time, if I've got cash at the time. We'll see, folks, we'll see. Anyway, let's motor on because it's getting dark. Where are we? We're late on Thursday. Well, we're on Thursday anyway, so yeah, adjusting the panels, tweaking the panels. And like I said, my pizza video wasn't taking off, it wasn't working. So I kept going back in and changing the title and changing the keywords and just blasting it out on Twitter and in the YouTube community posts. To this day, it never really got any traction. That one never worked. Like I said, the malaise, the lull after Christmas, I think is what's to blame. Then again, who wants to watch a tramp cook a pizza? I don't know. But then, Thursday afternoon, the key moment of the week, possibly. The big event of the week. Because I'd had the egg butties the day before. And I'd had a chat with Karen. And she told me that she'd had bacon sandwiches. And I remembered, I've got some bacon somewhere. See what happens here, folks, because of the rodents, people bought me these plastic boxes to help put things away in. And what happens sometimes is I put something in one of the plastic boxes, and then another box goes on top of a box, and then things get piled on top. And then it becomes a chore to actually get down and get into some of these boxes. And sometimes you forget which box has got what. Sometimes you even forget that you've got certain things. I think that's what happened here. I found these packs of bacon, I think literally in a bin once upon a time, but going way back, I don't know, May, June, July, I don't know when I found them. And they were probably on or around their sell-by date, maybe over their date at that time. But I examined them when I got them. This was back when you could reach into the bins here. They changed all the bins in Torrevieja. It's more difficult to actually harvest things from in a bin now. But these were literally in a bin. And I got them, set them aside and thought I'll keep those like for a special occasion. Something like bacon is a kind of bit of a celebration in my position. But then they got put away in boxes and got buried and got pseudo forgotten about, semi forgotten about. And then I remembered, so I went looking and I got them. But of course by now I had this recollection that I'd had them a long time, maybe 6 months, maybe 9. And when I got them out and I'm doing the video and I realised that they're actually 9 months out of date. So then the video is, can you still eat bacon after its date? The answer is yes. People have become far too enamoured of sell-by dates and use-by dates and not using logic. And government bodies that advise about these things don't want to take a risk that one day somebody might get it wrong and end up kind of semi-dead. So everyone takes an overly cautious approach. But basically making bacon is a way of preserving meat. The whole point of bacon is that it's to stop it going off. The salty environment that's created in the meat is inhospitable to the bad, to the bad bacteria. The botulism especially, which is the main food poisoning that people get from that type of stuff, from meats and things. So I made this video with this 9-month out of date bacon. I made bacon and egg sandwiches, and yeah, edited it, put it together, and released my bacon Tramp makes a bacon sandwich kind of video, which went absolutely nowhere. So I tweaked it, changed the title, a little tweak here, a little tweak there. Torrevieja Tramp, bacon sandwich, whatever. No, went nowhere. And it's only when we get forward into Saturday. So I'll leave. Let's just hang that there for now, and we'll come back to that when we get to Saturday, because we're still really on late Thursday. So after I'd had these sandwiches, after I'd eaten them, we'll come back to the video. But I had the food, made the video, whatever, and sat in the tent. And it's only like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think, when I've had the bacon sandwiches, and I fell asleep. A little nap for 4 hours. I think because of the rains all week, I've been staying awake, monitoring the tent and making sure that nothing gets too bad. You remember the time that it rained and the inside of the tent got wet, and Tina was laying with her back against the bloody side of the tent. So when I woke up and realised she was wet through, and I felt so bad that it's my job to keep us both, dry and warm as much as possible in the circumstances, in a broken tent with no roof and a hole in a tarp. But it's my job to protect us and to keep us warm and dry, and I failed that time. So when it rains now, I'm trying to be on guard. I'm trying to monitor her. I'm trying to make sure that she's away from the edge, and I put the covers over her and pull her to me and kind of cuddle and keep her warm. At the same time as being aware that she's a dog with a big fur coat and she doesn't want to get too warm. So she has the quilt over her and I have the quilt and blankets and things, So she's a little bit cooler. And she gets out occasionally, but I'm staying awake to make sure that she's not against the edge of the tent, or that it's not dripping on her, or that she's not in the corner of the bed where it might get wet sometimes. It's my job. Look after my girl. So I've been staying awake all week in the rains, and then this afternoon, the Thursday afternoon, it obviously just caught up with me. So at 3:30, 4 o'clock, I fall asleep for 4 hours. I wake up, it's dark. I haven't prepared for the night. At late afternoon, I haven't moved the panels around to follow the sun for the evening. I've missed like 2 hours of solar on the 2 panels. So I'm low on solar, and I've not done my job right. And I haven't got it's dark and I haven't got my head torch within reach. So then I've got to, start messing about trying to find that. All of these things. We're just at this point, guys, where it's a little bit dark. I'm just going to put the light on, mainly, so that I can read my notes. But if it helps you to see me as well, stop that flaring with the picture going up and down with the brightness. So yeah, fell asleep and it woke up, it's dark. And this is where I spent the evening then, because I'm going to be awake all night now, aren't I? I've already had my 3 hours sleep. I'm certainly not going to be falling asleep at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. Maybe at 6, 7, 8 the next morning would be the usual pattern. So I busy myself editing the videos and getting things. The Thursday with the hobo, the Thursday morning video, I get ready to release Friday morning. And I managed to get the bacon video. Where are we here? Hold on, I'm lost on my days. Am I mixing things up? Yeah, I'm mixed up. I'm lost on my days a bit. Which video got released when? So yeah, I'd spent the day, hadn't I, manipulating the pizza video again, trying to make that work. we're about to release the two videos, the Thursday morning with a hobo and the bacon butties, bacon and egg sandwiches. Can you eat bacon after its date? So we got those ready to go that morning, and they duly do. And so it's Friday morning. I released the Thursday morning with a hobo video, and it does okay for the first hour, maybe two, and then dies. And this is about the time when the bacon video is about to launch, and it goes off with an absolute whimper. It goes nowhere, just like all the other videos since Christmas. Went nowhere. So Friday, tweak it, change the title, change the keywords, change the description, change the thumbnail, the picture that you see when you're looking through the listings. Change the words, just make it more gotcha, make it more grabby. So I changed the focus over time. I reduced the focus of Torrevieja hobo makes bacon sandwiches, or Torrevieja hobo uses old bacon, and I changed it just to can you use old bacon, and and then when I remember that it's 9 months, so this is what happened on Saturday, when I make a last ditch attempt at one final change, otherwise I'm just going to give up and not bother with that video. So we'll get to that. It's Friday no, it's Thursday night into Friday morning, and the videos are releasing, and I'm making these changes, tweaking the settings, and it's not working. And that was that day really. But I made another batch of bread on Friday afternoon. No videos. There was no hoi polloi, no announcements, no nothing. Just bread for me to eat. When I made the pizza topping that I made, the sauce, fried onions, the spicy peppers. I had a bit of mortadella, didn't I? The tomato frito, the tomato sauce thing of tomatoes. Really nice, garlics and herbs and paprika, all of that. Really liked it, really enjoyed that taste. So I made a bunch of flatbreads, a bunch of tortilla wraps, flour tortillas, not the Spanish tortilla, not the egg flan thing, the bread tortillas. I made a bunch of those, flat, slightly irregular shapes and sizes, because I do have a rolling pin. It's one that someone else has thrown away because reasons. But it's better than nothing. And I don't have much space here either, and the table wobbles and things shake and coffee spills. But I did that, and I made the wraps, and then I did a spoon of the sauce. I made another batch of this sauce, the pizza sauce, the spicy tomato sauce, and spooned a couple of spoonfuls into the middle of the tortilla, and then folded up, and then put that in the frying pan. No oil, just to bake. And I did about 10 of these, 10 or 11 of these. Lovely, absolutely fantastic. And because I wasn't using any yeast, it's a flatbread, it didn't rise or anything. Perfect. And like I said, no fanfare, no videos, no audience to watch me get it wrong and try and, correct the fact that I fucked it up. So that was my Friday really. But for some reason, that night, I felt hellish cold. Now the thermometer built into my clock tells me it's 8 degrees in the tent, which should feel fairly warm compared to some of the nights where it's been down to 5 or 6. But I felt cold, and I think not eating enough. I think even though I'd had these bread, it's the equivalent of half a dozen sandwiches really, when all said and done. Not enough for a shrinking lad like myself. I need more food than that in a day really. So I think that's why I felt cold Friday night. all Friday night, I was cold. And I was too lazy to go out and do the hot water bottle thing. I didn't do the hot water bottle. Again, laziness, guys, laziness. So I did my usual Friday night. There's a program I like to watch called Friday Night Tights from a channel called Nerderotic. Nerdrotic. Replace the E at the beginning of erotic with the word nerd and you've got the channel. So I waited for this to start. It starts about 10 o'clock. I got about 2 hours in and I was gone. Kept waking up. The program goes on for about 5 hours. It was on, well, 3 o'clock or 3:30, something like that. And I'd wake up and I'd watch 5 minutes and then I'd be away again. It's a waste of a night, really. So now I've got that downloaded, waiting to watch maybe tonight. So we're coming to the end of the week now, guys. There's only really there's not a lot happened beyond that. Saturday morning when I got up, another extended dog walk, went looking for food, and this, we found none. And we were returning home, and we were on the main road here. And normally I would go around the back of this garage, but I went in front of it. As we came back, I went as if to go in front of the garage, and we passed a car sales yard. It's not a showroom as such, it's just a forecourt with a bunch of second-hand cars. But next to it, there was a pizza box on the floor. And Tina obviously detects this and runs towards it, and I held her back. Because I know that when there's pizza on the floor, if I let her get it, she'll just pull the whole pizza out of the box and literally onto the floor. Well, then it's no good, is it? Then it's only good for her. Yeah? It's floor pizza. But it's not actually on the floor, it's the box that's on the floor. The pizza's just bread inside the box. So I made sure she didn't grab it. I got it and had a quick look inside. 3/4 of a pizza. Score! Result! There you go. How many subscribers do you think I lose from this floor pizza talk and bin food and... I don't know, guys. The pizza's obviously, it's been dropped by someone at 4 or 5 in the morning when they're walking home from a club or something. They bought it on the edge of town and carried it all the way here and then just thrown it away. Well, it's 3/4 of a pizza. It's maybe 4 hours, maybe 5 hours old. Don't know about you, but when I have a pizza at home, if there's any left, just put the box on the side and have the rest the next morning. It's just the same. It's just that it's been out in the cold, refrigerated. It's been chilled, stored for me nicely. It's probably in better shape than the one that you put on the side at home. Maybe you put your old pizza in the fridge, I don't know. I've probably lost half my subscribers. All those new subscribers, they're probably all going to leave anyway. I've spoken about this in the past. When a lot of people see one video and subscribe, they get the impression that that's what the channel is and that's what it's about. It's like when I release a short and it's about Tina. You know, a 60-second video about my cute little doggy. And people subscribe. And then the next video I release, which is about the life and times of a tramp, they're gone. They unsubscribe. The channel isn't what they thought. So we'll get a bit of that anyway now, won't we? So this was Saturday morning, floor pizza. Picked up that box, carried it back here, and yeah. So sat in the tent, eating the pizza, sharing it with the doggy. I got to be careful with sharing. She eats a lot of bread and things, a lot of carbs, a lot of whatever I'm eating. This is why once a week I fast her. She goes one day with no food each week to try and counteract any chance of kind of diabetes. I don't know if you've ever read up about how fasting affects the body and how it prevents the build-up of insulin, which helps them prevent insulin resistance, the prevention of which prevents diabetes. So I'm aware that I give her a lot of human food, and so we try and balance that out by 1 day a week she doesn't have any food at all. No human food, no dog food. So that's how I try and look after her on that score. Sometimes, folks, we're low on dog food, and I have to eke it out, and that means giving her my food. Once upon a time, it's cat food from around and about in the little pots that people put out in roads and things. Never from the proper official cat feeding points, from the unofficial ones. If someone's going to put illegal cat food out, and my dog's walking past and she's hungry, I don't begrudge her a bit of cat food. Okay, where are we? Floor pizza. Back home, sat in the tent eating it, and I'm watching the stats to see whether my bacon video is happening or not, and it's not. So a couple of hours later, I'm on the verge of giving up on the out-of-date bacon video, the expiry date, 9 months past its expiry date. And I make one last change. I remove all mentions of hobos and Torrevieja and what have you, homelessness and what have you from the keywords and most of the title. And I focus it just on, can you eat out-of-date bacon, And I published the changes. I think I changed the thumbnail as well. And I hit the update button and sit back. And nothing for the first hour, because it always takes YouTube a while to respond to changes. But after 2 hours, it starts getting a few hits, and then a few more, and then a few more. And YouTube in the app on the phone, YouTube gives me a listing of how this video is doing compared to the last 10 videos released. And we go from being the bottom performing video by a mile, like we're way off, where other videos after 3 or 4 hours, other videos are on like 20 or 30 views. Mine's been a day or whatever, and it's it's on like, I don't know, 10 or 15 views. But then it starts gaining, it starts going up the rankings from 10th out of 10, 9th, 8th, 7th, and then it starts leaping. It leaps the middle field. It leaps them in one fell swoop, and it's suddenly it's a top 3 video. And an hour later, when I look, it's only 1 or 2 views behind the top video of the last 10. An hour later, it's got double what the previously best videos got, and it just starts taking off with 10, 20 views an hour. And that's where it's been kind of since what, mid-Saturday afternoon. So a day and a bit now. And it looks to be just picking up. There was a lull overnight, late in the night, because the Americans are 6 or 7 hours behind, so they were watching it. But then somewhere around 4 or 5 in the morning, you just get a total lull where there's very few watching it. But then when people start waking up again on this side of the Atlantic, it starts picking up again, and it's back there now. So that's been fun to watch. Like I said, I like to watch the scores. I like to watch it increasing, watch the numbers going up. But not just the number of views, the number of subscribers, as I've said. I went over the previous 10 days, I'd had 1 new subscriber. I've had nearly 20 in 24 hours. That's not bad for a small channel like this. And what I didn't realise until just before I came out of the tent, to do this stream, to do this live stream, this podcast. We've jumped over 350 now, 350 subscribers. Can't argue with that. Do you remember when I was celebrating when I got to 100, and then when I got to 200 and we did the first live stream? When we got to 300, it was in the middle of the night, and I'd been waiting for it like all day, and I'd bought a 12-pack of beers ready to celebrate, hadn't I? And it was going really well. It was headed towards the 300, and then it kind of stalled and it got nowhere. And so I'm drinking the beer, waiting, and then I'd go to bed and forget about it. And then I get a ping in the middle of the night to say that it's happened. And when I did the 300th celebratory stream, I was a little bit tired and a little bit groggy, which offended a few people. Especially when I'd fallen asleep with a can of beer next to my bed. And when I'm talking, I've got the dry mouth, like now. Cheers again. Coffee again, folks. But when I had the dry mouth and reached for the can of beer that was by my bed at 3 in the morning, I guess that upset some people, and we had a few unsubscribe, and so I went above 300 and then immediately dropped back down below and stayed there for about a week. Oh well, whoops. But I decided then that I wasn't going to do any kind of celebration at 400. You can't just celebrating every 100 seems off. So I decided that the next biggie would be 500. From 300. My next biggie is going to be 500 when I'm going to celebrate. So 350 isn't really it's not really a thing. We're going to push on, folks. We're going to push on. After this stream finishes, YouTube automatically private it. So if you're like wanting to go back and watch a bit, if you joined halfway through and you want to go back and watch the beginning, you got to give me a couple of minutes to log in to YouTube and set it to public again, because that's just a thing that they do. But if you are in that position, once it is available, I would appreciate it if you could hit the share button. Add it out on your socials. Tell people about it. Tell people about me, my position. If you've seen any of my other videos and you like them, recommend them. As well as hitting the like button and the subscribe if you haven't, tell people, please. Get the word out. I need to build these numbers up. 500 is a biggie for me as well. 500 allows a certain type of monetization on the channel. Could help me get a few pennies. Which, guys, I'm a homeless guy with no money, sort of. I've got money in the bank, but the bank won't let me have my money. So effectively, I've got no money. I think something just ran in the tent. I've effectively got no money. I'm stranded. I'm in a foreign country. My command of the language is poor. I can read it, but I can't hear it, which means I can't answer questions. If I can't hear what they're saying, I can't answer them. But you know, a bit of money helps. So when that monetization happens at 500, that's what I'm aiming for. That's where I've got to get to, and as soon as possible. Some channels take years to get there. Apparently, of all the channels that ever get started, only 1% get this far. Still going 6 months later, and with 300 and whatever subscribers, 350. Not many get off the ground. Not many get beyond 20 subscribers. I've had to work for it as well, guys. I get typically 1 new subscriber per video, because this is a bit niche. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Some of my behaviour offends people as well. I'm niche. It's not mainstream. But if you could help by spreading the word, I'd appreciate it. Okay. Saturday night. Big Clive Live. I've talked about this before. The guy's an electrician, electronics genius. Mainly electrics rather than electronics, but he does dabble in that as well. Has over 1 million subscribers. He's on the Isle of Man. But Saturday nights he does a live stream that's just him hanging out, chatting with his followers. The channel is called Big Clive Live, and the show is called Saturday Night Clive. I guess Saturday Night Live would have been a clash with the American comedy program. But I always watch that on a Saturday night, and then there's a program follows that I watch, and then we're off into Sunday morning. Last night, Saturday night, was particularly warm. Took me by surprise how warm it was last night. When I looked and saw that it was 13 degrees in the middle of the night, like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I actually had to take my jumper off. Jumper in bed. And just too much, had to take it off. Sunday morning, folks. Up late watching these live streams and things. And then Sunday morning there's one called Flashcast. You have to catch it live. He privates it straight after, and then it's only members only, paid members only. I like to try and catch that. But this morning I was trying to watch it, but I kept going away to watch. Is that? I think we've got movement. I'm blinded because I've just been staring into the light. I think there's movement there somewhere. It's not Tina. That's a bit worrying. I don't like that. Flashcast. Sunday morning. I wanted to watch it. It's another one of my regular. If I'm awake at 5 o'clock on a Sunday morning, I usually am. I'll watch that. But I kept getting distracted because of the figures going up on the graphs. I had to leave that to go into the YouTube app to revel in my success with my video that's, by my standards, going viral. It's not in the millions of views or anything, you know. It's only, I think while we're here, it should have just crossed 500 views. The bacon past its sell-by date video. And I had no ill effect. I should have mentioned this before. No ill effects. I cooked bacon and egg sandwiches with bacon that was 9 months out of its sell-by date, that hasn't been stored refrigerated, that's been in a box inside a tent that all summer was getting up to 50 degrees Celsius inside that tent. Anywhere from 40 to 50 depending on how warm the day was, and it was in the warmest part of the tent. Bacon and egg butties, and I was fine. No running to the bushes and shooting through the eye of a needle. No downsides at all. Anyway, Flashcast, watching these graphs and watching the subscribers grow. Kind of giddy with excitement. It's silly, it's pathetic, it's just how I am. I just like to watch graphs. I guess it's the statistician in me, the mathematician. So yeah, took Tina for a walkies, and then turned into 2 videos. One just on the cliffs as usual, looking out at the sun. Like it was dinner time, so it wasn't a sunrise one or anything. It was just hey, here we are on the cliffs, and then a chat to aimed at my new subscribers, aimed at the new guys, just saying, hey, this channel might not be what you think it is. If you signed up because guy cooking, I do cookery videos, but it's not a cookery channel. So that I was just explaining that, mainly aimed at the new guys. But then I got back here and I tested my my yeast. I took a spoonful of sugar, helped the medicine go down, and I got the camera ready this time and started the video, poured the sugar into the yeast water, and just watched it bloom. Just watched the activity as that sugar hit that water. The sugar goes in, sinks under the surface, and then a second or two later, you just see all this activity. So my yeast is alive. So that's a separate video that's going to come out. Like I said earlier, it's going to come out the next day or two. And then I had to spend the day drying this light because it was in a puddle of water when I found it last night. I mean, Damien got me this light, and I ordered the batteries from AliExpress, I think, or Temu. I'm not sure which one. I think it was AliExpress. And they plug directly onto a USB cable. The battery's got a little USB port in. So there was a danger that them being in water, it could damage the light, the lamp, but it could also damage these batteries. So I spent the day trying to get those dry and then charged, ready for now, because I knew that we might need it. I'm sat here in the dark, guys. What else have I done today? I can't remember. I have to read what I've done today because I've got no fucking idea. Oh, but my Russian friend who came by, who's offered to help me with putting the new tarp on. And God bless him. When I said about cooking making pizza and making bread because I haven't got enough money to go and buy bread, the guy only goes and gives me 10 euros. I was like, he's helped me in the past. He's brought me things and like I said, helped me with that, putting the tarp. It's a two-man job putting a tarp over the roof of a tent. It's not easy to do with one person, and it's impossible if there's a wind blowing. But so he helped me that time, just after it split down after the tent split in half. Go watch those videos, guys. If you're new here and haven't seen the time that the tent literally split end to end in one fell swoop, go find that. I should make like a list of a playlist of like the major events. A lot of my life is run of the mill, you know, cooking a beef stew, yeah, you know, but being flooded or sitting here in the rain or your tent splitting in half or someone giving you a tent and you got to put it up and get it, you know, these major events, the barbecue arriving. Didn't really do a video on that, but I should do a playlist of the major events. Maybe I should make a video with highlights. That means more editing than I'm probably capable of. I haven't got a laptop or anything, guys. I'm editing videos on a phone with all the limitations concomitant with that. Good word. So yeah, my Russian friend who stopped by, I gotta be honest, he might be watching this with a translation. Don't know his name. He has told me, and it was so unfamiliar that I didn't compute. I'm bad at remembering names anyway, but names from other languages that aren't, like if you tell me that your name's Piotr, which is a Peter equivalent, I can remember that. But if your name's something that I've never heard of before, it's not even a word to me, and that includes sounds that sound like a record being played backwards, I got no, you know, if it involves sounds that don't even exist in the English language, I got no chance. So it feels bad. But, I don't know. After 6 months, can you turn around and say, hey, what was your name again? Don't know. Hope he's not watching. So that after my friend left, he brought me, he gave me a couple of things that he'd got in his bag. He's been for a walk, and the bits of food that he's got left after the walk, there was a tomato and a tangerine and what have you. He gave me these little bits, but the 10 euros. I'll be going shopping first thing tomorrow. Fairly, not immediately, but early. Important question, guys. You get €10. You've only got €10. How much of it do you spend there and then, and how much do you hold on to for emergencies? What do you buy? €10. Just over €1, I'll get you 3 baguettes from Mercadona. 1.15 or 1.20, whatever those are. So that's on the list. But what else? I'm getting low on coffee. That's fairly important to me. And lasts, what, a month, maybe 2, a jar of coffee, depending on how heavy I hit it. So that's, I think that's another, is that 150? What else? I need cooking oil. I've got most of a block of butter left because I still haven't done that baking I was going to do. So cooking, a jar of cooking oil, a bottle of cooking oil, a litre bottle. That used to be €1 and now it's nearer 3, I think. What are you doing, Tina? I got to piece together with what I've got, with what I know I've got here, and with what I know I'm running out of. So I'm low on refuse sacks, bin bags. But they're not cheap, I don't think. Do you use your last €10 in the world in cash on that? Or can that wait? I don't know. So I spent a little bit of this afternoon or early, just before we came out and did this, just trying to think that through. And yeah, charging the phone and the batteries, because obviously I don't want to be running out of power or getting low on power in the middle of this, do I? Leaving you guys shortchanged. I wouldn't do that to you. 2 hours. We're about to call it quits, folks. We're there or thereabouts. Maybe another 5 minutes, if you can hang with me. So yeah, I'm bringing Sunday to a close here, aren't I? Charging the phone and the batteries for this light. I don't normally like to charge. I don't like to be using the USB connection from my battery, from my charge controller, while the sun's still on the panels. Because of that last battery, one of my hypotheses was that maybe this charge controller has to choose whether to send the power to the USB or put it into the batteries. And with 20 watts of power coming in, I'd rather it was going into the batteries, because I'm only using 6 watts USB. So maybe there's a blocking function. When it's doing one, it doesn't do the other. So I'd be losing out on 14 watts of power. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's a well, this one is I think a fairly cheap. It's a budget solar charge controller. So but I had to get things charged before coming out to you guys. In these 2 hours while this phone's been on with the screen on full brightness, because of when the sun was out, I've probably used 20-25% of the battery charge. This light, when these batteries are fully charged, I get 2 hours usually with it on full brightness like it is now. And then after 2 hours it'll dip, and then it'll start rising and falling, which is fine for me in the tent. No good for you guys, so hey, if that light was up and down. So yeah, I finished all my preps and got my notes written out. That's the other thing. I made quite copious notes this week. You know, last week I said that I had no idea what I'd done all week, and that I'd been in a foul mood and not really kept proper notes. This time I did. And I'll give you a quick, I don't know if I can, you won't be able to read them or anything, and they're probably backwards. But I'm writing 2 or 3 lines per ruled line in the page. I've got 2 or 3 lines of notes, and in 2 columns. There's a main column down here, and then there's this is like an afterthought. So I need 2 hours prep before coming out and doing the show. I know you wouldn't believe that there's actually preparation and thought involved in this. And it's developed over time. This thing with the random facts about the number of the episode 17, so we did facts about the number 17. This little getting to know you section with the random silly questions. But there's method to the madness. Those are there so that in that first quarter of an hour, while people are arriving, I haven't made a start already. The people who come in 10, 15 minutes later haven't already missed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. So it allows us to just have a soft start to the show. See, there's method to my madness. And then the themes, it just lets me talk in general about the week. So anyone who isn't going to stick around for the full, for a full 2 hours or when it's a shorter one, some of these have been at 1 hour. But someone who isn't going to stick around can just get a flavour of what I've been up against from the themes. And then we start with where we left off at the end of the stream on Sunday, and then what happened in the hour or two after. And now we're at the end of Sunday, and I'll just talk quickly about what's coming up in the next week. And if you've got any questions, now's your time to jump in and just say, ask away. If you're new and you want to introduce yourself, if you're one of my new subscribers, the little chat icon underneath, the actual symbol varies, as I understand, depending on what machine you're on. I've got a little speech bubble here that I click, and it shows me the most recent message, like my friend Ismo here telling me about the cold weather and he's having a cold beer. I wish I could have a cold beer, my friend. No money for beer. No money for beer. Not at the minute. Hey, so yeah, in the coming week, so what have I got ahead this next week? I think I already mentioned it's going to be warm. Warm through the day, 22, 23 degrees in the middle of January. And we are in the middle now, aren't we? The middle of January. Today the 14th. That's near enough the middle of 31, isn't it? So it's going to be warm. Warm days, warm nights. Tomorrow's going to be cloudy, so no solar, which is why I've got to be a little bit careful here with this. I'm fairly confident in my battery and that there's plenty of power stored. But as I mentioned last week, my portable panel, which is separate from these two, my own, the one that I had right at the beginning of all this, I've still got the panels, but the power bank that would charge no longer functions. It's still got a little bit of power in it, so I can draw from it a little bit. It's only one light lit, and probably only half of that really. There is one light. I've got to stop with that Star Trek shit. I got into trouble for that. They did a copyright on my video, even though I only used 1 minute to give people the context who don't know the 4 lights thing with Jean-Luc Picard. Yeah, they allowed me to carry on using it, but they said naughty, you shouldn't really do that, but we'll allow it. That's nice. Where was I? Power bank, not working. It's got some power in, 1 light, and probably only half of that really. And then that'll be kaput. I can't get any more power into it. It is defunct, I'm sorry to say. It was a shame, because the lovely lady and gent who gave it to me, I'd only just thanked them again and wished them a happy, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. So sorry folks, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't drop it, bang it, it wasn't in a pool of water, like some things have been. I suspect my USB-C, this thing takes USB-C to charge. The USB-C cable that I've got, well, the one that came with it fell apart a while back. And the only other one I had was an old one from my previous phone that got in a flood and got damaged. This one's just standard micro USB, not USB-C. So I reverted to this old cable, but it was getting a bit exposed and wonky at the ends. And it's possible that 2 wires were exposed and might have shorted. It's been chewed on at some point by by a rodent. Yeah, I don't know. There's something moving here, and it's not Tina. Cheeky bugger. Nope. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm fairly confident now, though, in this with the new battery from Jeff and Mark from last weekend. Thanks, guys, if you're watching. Mark might be. I don't think Jeff watches. Thank you, though. Thank you. I think I've got confidence in it. Most days, I like to check that, again, there are 4 lights on... Everything's 4 lights, isn't it? There are 4 lights on the charge controller. It can't take an accurate reading while there's sun on the panels or while there's daylight on the panels. Tina, I'm going to smack if you carry on, girl. Stop it. You've gone under the table and out, and now you're risking pulling the whole fucking table over. Stop it. Where are you? Come here. Come back through. Come this way and back through. Fucking hell. She used to do that in, if we were at a kiosk, you know, a bar in the park or whatever. She'd go under the table and then out. And... Oh, Kino's Bar. What's its official name? I put it onto Google Maps as the famous kiosk in the park. Bar Luca, Lucca, I think. Up in the top field of the 3 fields in the park. Nice little spot if you're ever in Torrevieja and you're in that area, Aguas Nueva. Just off Calle Paris. Well, literally on that road. Where was I? Oh yeah, power banks and the battery pack. I think I've got the confidence, but tomorrow the forecast is for cloud literally all day, but warm. 23, 24 degrees, I think it said, and the nights are going to be 13 or 14 almost all week. A little bit of rain suddenly appeared on the forecast just before I came out. It was all clear for the entire next 10 days, and then rain suddenly appeared just as I came out here. So we'll see how that develops, and whether my friends helped me with the tarp before then. As long as it's not too heavy. Light to moderate rain, we're fine. Heavy rain, we take a bit of damage, we take a bit of a pounding, but we survive. What else we got coming up? I got to go shopping with this €10. I sound like I've got a hole, like it's burning a hole in my pocket. There are things I need. I could sit here and make my own bread, or I could go and buy 3 baguettes for €1. Something to put on the bread. I've got a bit of aioli still, or alioli, however you want to pronounce it. I think it's double L to begin with, isn't it? A-double-L. I've got aioli. I think I've got some chocolates. No, I might not have chocolate spread anymore. I'll have to check all this. Mayonnaise is always a good one to get. My squirty bottle of mayonnaise is more or less empty. I've got a little bit of mustard, squirty mustard. For something to put on the bread. Something to put on the bread would be good. Maybe pate, maybe chorizo. Don't know. Only got €10. And I want to keep €2 or €3 in case of emergencies. Things that happen that you don't think. Like when I ran out of the poo bags yesterday. Or almost, I was on down to the last 2 bags. I normally like to buy them here in the Chino Bazaar, Gran Bazaar El Zoco, because you get 3 times as many for your money. They're a little bit thinner and cheaper, and they don't have fancy handles, and they're not scented, but they do what we need, and I can use them for other things because they're unscented. I can use, like, I've got a bag of salt. I emptied a box of salt into a bag and put it back inside the box because I'm storing it outside here in a plastic box that leaks, apparently. I found out the other day. Fortunately, all this, apart from the salt, the only thing in there is pasta, dried lentils, dried beans. There was a bag of flour, but it was up and off the bottom, so that survived. But I've got to plan this shopping. That's on my mind for either tomorrow or the next day, but probably tomorrow, because there are just some things that we need. Bread and something to put on bread. Maybe some beef stock cubes. Like I said, I might make a stew. I haven't got any actual beef, and it's rare that I do have any actual meat, but I can make a meat flavoured stew with the right stock cubes. I've got chicken stock cubes. And like I said before, I do have Bovril, so I can still do that anyway. I'm going to do some baking this week as well, given half a chance. I've been talking about making some shortbread, haven't I, since before Christmas, and I never did it. So that's an idea. Might make a cake at some point. I've got lots and lots of chocolate powder, drinking chocolate powder, flour, sugar and eggs. And I've got powdered milk. I can make something that looks like milk. I should be able to make a cake out of that, a chocolate cake. Don't know if I've got any other flavours. I do, because I've got some jams. I've got strawberry or raspberry. I've also got melocotton. What's that in English? Peach. Don't think that would make for a good flavour for a sponge. But maybe the raspberry or strawberry, whatever that is. If I can mix it in my cake batter, should be able to do something with that, wouldn't you think? So yeah, these are just ideas, and obviously at some point the new tarp's going to go on, probably this week. I'll watch how this rain thing develops. And I'm still oohing and ahhing on the solar controller, whether to put the new one in that the guys brought me last week. It's a balancing act for me. Everything seems fine as is. The new charge controller is better. Digital readout rather than just 4 lights. 2 USB ports, and each port is higher powered than the one that I've got at the minute, so my phone would charge more quickly. And I could charge my phone and these batteries. I've got a cable that will charge 2 batteries at once. So if I was to put that in one port and my phone charging from the other, I can do everything. So, but then there's the risk of what if I mess up moving electric cables across from one to the other. There's always a chance when especially I've got 2 solar panels twisted together, positive, and twisted together, negative. There's always a chance of, I'm a cat-handed buffoon. The only time in my life I'm allowed to use a screwdriver is inside a computer case when I used to build computers. Screwing in the motherboard and the other various bits and pieces. The risers, the spacers that keep the motherboard off the metal case. Taking out hard drives and screwing in the power supply and, Other than that, I'm a cat-handed buffoon. I'm no good. I'm not a practical man when it comes to DIY and things. Joinery, woodwork. Which is why it's kind of funny that I managed to build a bed. 3 beds now I've built. When I was able to make a shelter out of 6 mop handles and an old broken tarp back in the day. And then the same 6 mop handles and a bigger brand new tarp when the lady and gent brought me one in the middle of February last year. Don't get to see them now and thank them. I think they misunderstood when I explained that I do have money in the bank, because they'd been helping me. But I maybe didn't emphasize enough that yes, the money's in the bank, but I can't get it. That's why I'm living in a fucking field. Anyway, I'm swearing. I lose subscribers when I swear. So that's me, guys. That's the week that's gone, and the week ahead. I'm done. Probably just as we start getting more and more of you arriving. That's usually the way it works. There was that week where we suddenly went up to 10 people here just as I was closing down. I think it's growing overall, though. I think it's growing. I get, just as I close out, I'll get some stats come up on the screen, and I take a screenshot of that to save and monitor progress. What do we all think about this time slot? 5 o'clock Spanish, 4 o'clock UK, 10 o'clock Central in the States. Does this slot work? Or did you prefer when I did it an hour later, an hour earlier? Or back in summer when I did it an hour later, I think. Did it used to be 6 o'clock Spanish in summer when we started? I think, I don't remember everything. Does this slot okay by you guys? Nobody's saying not, so I'm going to assume it is. So same time, same back channel next week. Okay, folks? How do I get out? Oh, the X in the corner there. Okay, folks. From Tina and from me, Delta Mike, out.